up in here on this day. So, welcome to the Good Grief podcast, where we navigate grief with grace, reflection, impact, empowerment, and faith. We are your hosts, Camille Aiko,
Erica.
and this is a safe place for healing, conversation, honesty, hope. So, whether you're grieving a loved one or just adjusting a major life transition, here we are here to remind you that you are not alone, that your healing matters. And so today is all about the E of our grief framework. So G is give yourself grace. And we talked about, you know what, I'm not even going to go run down all of them because I know we can be here for a while, or I might say something that sparks that category, or just that trigger, that memory, or that conversation that I really want to get on today. So just go check the other episodes if you want to go through that. So today, though, is E, and that is all about embracing new routines. So learning how to create a new normal when life is no longer the same. And I know that's definitely something we all go through at some point of time in life, is how do we create that new normal when stuff has changed a lot and we feel it and we hear it and we see it, and all of our emotions are just, we're feeling it, right? All of our senses are being impacted. And so when you lose someone or even a part of ourselves, right? Because I know I've been through that, where in life I just feel like, you know what, I feel completely lost in who I am at the moment. Everything can feel unfamiliar. The rhythms and the routines, and once the things that we once relied on seemingly disappeared overnight. They changed overnight. And that's the thing about grief. It doesn't just affect your emotions, it affects your schedule, it affects your energy, it affects your mood, it affects your meals, it affects your mornings. It literally affects everything. So new routines aren't about forgetting what was, but they're about creating structure and comfort in a world that's changed. We're still here, and so we have to figure out how to keep going in the midst of all that. And so this is not really about moving on, right? But it's about finding new ways to move forward with intention. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. That's why new routines matter, because we got to keep pushing. As long as we're still here, that means that God isn't through with us, that we still have a mission. We still have a reason why he still has us here. We're not done yet, and we need to fulfill that. Erica, did you mute yourself? Because I keep
No,
pausing in
you
between to see if you're
kept
going
talking, and I wasn't getting like the jump in
Oh,
feel.
you didn't
Like,
see those pauses
man, this is a really
about
long
something
monologue.
I
Like, what is happening?
want to. Well, go ahead, my friend, my sister. Go ahead and jump on in.
No, I definitely would say creating and making new routines. I think that's hard, and it doesn't matter what you're going through. Like, it doesn't matter what you're grieving or what your new transition is. It's gonna be tough, you know, and it's just something that you have to not have to do, but it's good to do. That's what I will say. Um, it's good to create something new. Like, I'll go with mom. On Sundays, I would go over there, get her ready, et cetera, et cetera. And now my new routine is I don't go over there and get her ready because she's no longer here. So now I stop at Starbucks and get dad a tea and my whole entire family something to drink. But I'm making sure that I'm still taken care of. I don't know. That's just something that I feel like I had to replace something.
Yeah,
I had to I had to come up with something. Like, I
yeah,
just
no,
felt
that's
like
great.
I needed to do. Yeah.
Yeah, Timothy is saying it's a process. The only way to get through it, you got to go through it. Yep, absolutely. Sometimes you got to reset. That's not easy to do.
Oh,
No, no, it's
it's
not.
definitely not. And I mean, like, I know this habit that or this new thing that I've started doing has become pricey. But you know, people can you can start small. Like Timothy said, it's a process. So start small. Come up with something, you know, like whether you are like being intentional, just be intentional about it. That's what I would say. Like you get up in the morning, you're like, I'm going to drink an entire glass of water, and it's going to be before I get out of bed or before I start, you know, movement. Um, you know, or you get up and you're intentional about praying or reading your word if that's something that you weren't doing before. Just
Yeah.
you can pick something small, but be intentional about
Yeah.
whatever it is that you're going to do, would be what I would say. Being intentional is so important.
Yeah, I would say, because even for me, after, well, really during any transition, I'm always like, okay, I have got to find what am I doing? What is my thing that I'm going to be able to feel like this is normal? So even
Yeah,
like transitioning, moving to LA and leaving everything and everyone behind, right? Going on a 7-day trip and then being like, okay, I'm not coming back, and then having to figure life out. So it's like, okay, what is my new routine? What does this look like for me? When mom transitioned and just going into that place of like, I don't want to deal with anybody. I just need to deal with myself and deal with my emotions. But I knew there was a time where I was like, okay, I need to get up. I can't just sit here all day. I need to figure out life. And so I did create a new routine, and I was looking over here, even with my supplements, like what I was putting in my body, am I making sure that I'm getting enough energy? Am I eating the right things? That whole thing changed. I'm gonna grab it real quick. That way I can share it with you guys.
yeah. Well, while you're grabbing it,
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like literally, don't replace, don't erase what you did. Like kind of what I said, what I've been doing. Um, I don't necessarily. I know mom loved dad, so it was like important for me not to erase um, anything loving or you know what I was doing,
Yeah,
getting up and going and helping mom, but to kind of I replaced my routine with loving on dad because that's something that mom would do. That gave me the time. Like even when I would go over there and help mom, I would make dad some breakfast and still continue to take care of him. So even though I wasn't, you know, I don't get up and go to mom and dad's house anymore, I make sure that I'm still intentional um, in my routine about making sure I'm looking out for dad. So I'm not replacing mom, I'm not erasing, or I'm not replacing, I'm not erasing what I was doing as far as taking care of. I'm just replacing it, just being making sure I look out for dad as I was all those other years. So yeah. So what was it that you had?
I was just saying, I literally printed out. This isn't the one that I was looking for, because I've gone away for some months, and I took the other one off the refrigerator. But I printed out my a routine just to
Hmm.
make sure that I had my morning started right and that I could just get up and move in life. So that
Yeah.
way, I was beating that hump, because a lot of times it's in the mornings when because sometimes I would wake up crying, you know what I mean? Like tears streaming down my face out of my sleep. And it's like, okay, how do I kickstart my morning and set the tone for my morning?
Yeah.
And so I had my daily routine where, lifestyle enhancements, making sure that I was actually getting up, even though I'm already physically active. During that time, a lot of that just kind of went to the wayside. So making sure that I got back exercise and maintaining 30-minute workouts, um, hydration, making sure I'm drinking enough water, stress management, how am I managing my stress, making sure I'm taking all of my vitamins, and I have my vitamins there listed out, because all of that just fell by the wayside. And
Yeah.
so not that all of it was necessarily new, but it was stuff that I needed to get back to taking care of myself when I let myself
Mhm.
go in certain areas during that time. And I do have another um, morning routine that I printed out and I kept in the forefront, just to say, okay, Camille, you got to get back to it. You got to anchor your day. You know what's going on, and making sure that you're taking care of you during this time, because you still have people counting on you. You're still taking care of your husband, you're still doing all of these things. You got to be there for your dad. You got to get up. You got to be there for you. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
where a lot of things for me, even in business, where I was like, okay, I gotta get out of this funk, right? And that's when I kept
Mm-hmm.
hearing like mom in my head, like, girl, how you doing? What you doing? What you doing in business? You doing all right? You know, and
Yeah.
allowing her voice to kind of be my conscience in that time of just hearing that mom's sweet little voice in the back of my head, like, okay, girl, get up, get up. You gotta do it, set in the moment. So
So yeah, so
those
it's
are
like
some of the things that I've done. Huh?
so it's like so I was saying, you're right, like definitely anchor your day. But you know what, this doesn't just go for grieving a loved one. Um, it's about like grieving any type of transition, like, divorce, leaving a job, becoming an empty nester, and not even necessarily doesn't just have to be an empty nester. It could just be like your kids, going off to college. So I'll give you an example. For me, it hasn't started officially yet, um, but Ariane finished football. I know I've talked about this multiple times. He was doing college football, and so my weekend, my Saturday, basically my whole Saturday was already planned. Like, we're either going to be traveling or we're going to be going down to his college, and we're going to be seeing it. Um, and I had to realize, like, what are my new Saturdays? Like, I'm already plotting, like, well, what am I going to do now? What hobbies am I going to come up with during the fall when I used to be a football, cheering my heart out and just having fun and hanging out with my kids or people who came to the game. I've already started planning that. Like, and I would realize, like, it's okay to come up with something new. It's okay to change. And I realized, like, hey, this is new. This is different. It's going to be a change. Because if you all don't know, I'm a sports mom, like through and through. My kids have played football, basketball, cross country, track, gymnastics, you name it. I used to be a soccer coach. Yes, I did. But I'm just saying, like, even in those type of transitions, like, we have to be mindful about reshaping what your weekends or what your weekdays look like, because sometimes it's like you're an Uber for your kids, and now they're gone off to college, or they've stopped playing a sport, so now you got to think like, okay, what is this going to look like for me? And it's okay to start new hobbies. Or I think Timothy even said, like, rest. You can simply start out by resting. Um, and that's still showing up for yourself clearly by just like, I'm going to take this time to get the rest that I haven't got. But yeah, so that's what I had to say. Did you mute yourself? And hey, Aaron, we got some comments, so let's read these comments because we've just been doing a lot of talking. Um, so Timothy was saying, my father, who was a bishop, pastor for 20 years, oh no, he actually dropped dead on the 20th church anniversary, the last day of the anniversary week. He dropped dead at their house in front of the whole family who came to celebrate him and my mother. That's a difficult thing to see. Your father just dropped dead from a massive heart attack,
Mm.
out of nowhere. I had to go to counseling for that so God could help regulate my mind. It's going
Yeah.
on 9 years without him, but it's still not easy when I've known him my whole life. God blessed me to have 30 years with my father. Sorry for the long message. You know what? No, we appreciate these messages
Yeah.
because that's just anybody else could, maybe somebody else is going through this. We weren't, I don't want to say we weren't anticipating because we know at some point, but that's traumatic.
Yeah.
That's a traumatic situation. And if you can't share that with anybody else, you can definitely share that with us. So, Timothy, thank you for taking the time to even writing that out. I know that could be difficult as well. So thank you. And again, hey, Aaron, glad you're on here. Um, so yeah, but I was going to say, and embracing change, I would say it doesn't mean that you're okay. Like, let's be clear. It's not like you're moving on or you're forgetting that person. It just kind of means you're making space for healing.
And that
And
is important, to make the space for healing. Um, and that lets you know that should be if you're in a place where you're like, I don't know where I'm at, I don't know how I'm feeling, I think this should be a good key that you're in a good place, because we already know grief is like, it's messy, right? But if you're allowing yourself that space for feeling, and so I'm glad that you brought up the counseling, even though we've talked about, building your community last week and all of that. I think that is good when we can say, okay, I know that I'm going through this and I'm giving myself space to heal. Too many people don't allow themselves space to heal, and so they're hurt people. And we know the saying, everybody knows it, right? Hurt people
hurt people.
And so it is important for that healing space, because we have to do our job to love other people. And if we're hurting people, then we're not loving other people, right? So, yeah, I think that's key, is acknowledging that you need the space to heal, and then making sure that you take the time to heal. Absolutely.
Timothy just said, now I need y'all on podcast. Hashtag my life speaks. Well, Camille.
Y'all go check out Timothy's podcast.
Well, that sounds awesome. It's entitled My Life Speaks. Where can we find his podcast?
Timothy, drop your podcast in the chat. You can also find him on YouTube.
Okay, well, awesome.
So promote that podcast, okay? He's gonna figure out a way to talk about grief in that podcast. You better promote. Okay.
Promoting, and don't be surprised when we promote our podcast. No, I'm just messing.
Yeah.
But definitely, just want to support.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the emotional side of all of this. So starting something new can feel like betrayal. And I know we have mentioned this before, where it was like, why am I going to be happy? Why am I about to go celebrate? I can't celebrate. My mama's not here. So why we go out here? I know that I talked to one of our aunts, and she was just like, I was at this event and I couldn't stay. There was something that triggered her, and one of the ladies came over and asked her if she was okay. She was like, no, I've got to go. And she just got up and she left. And this was an event that she paid for. But yeah, it can feel like sometimes, in particularly, that you are doing some type of betrayal because you're happy, and maybe not overall happy, but in these moments. And that's one thing that I've also had to do during this time, is learn to compartmentalize my emotions and where I am in life. Because if I don't learn how to compartmentalize, then I always feel like, okay, I'm unhappy, or I'm mad, or I'm sad, when I'm not really those things. It's just this one area. And in that area, I have to learn how to heal and overcome. And so going back to what I was saying is that, sometimes we can feel like it's betrayal, and saying, like, if I go to this event without them, if I go on this vacation without them, if I do this without them, then does that mean I moved on? Like, they don't care anymore? Like they didn't mean anything to me? And that's not the truth at all. But the guilt can be very real, right? That thought isn't necessarily how it is, but the guilt of it all can be real. And we just want to free y'all from that today, right? Doing something different is not forgetting, it's surviving. Because if not, there are some people who aren't able to fully move on. And in that, they end up passing, right? We know people and have heard of people who it's like, once one person passed, the other person couldn't take it, and they were out too, right? Whether
it's definitely like, so on and so forth. I mean, we've seen those articles, and I feel like we thought that I will even say, like, we were shocked when our grandmother passed, how long our grandfather stayed alive. I definitely was like, he's still here with us? Like, what's happening? And I just knew, like, that we could have counted days. Now, he only lasted 11 months, but that for us in our minds, I really believe like that was a truly long time. And he mourned her every day of those 11 months. And there was no getting past. We even tried to move him here to Ohio, and he wasn't having it. You know, he loved our father, he loved us, but he was like, no, I don't. He didn't want to start a new routine at all, you all. He was not interested in being, he was like, I want to be where my wife is. And I don't know if you remember that day. And dad was like, she's not here anymore. Grandmom is dead. And he was like, I know where she is, you know. And I think we all kind of look like, oh. But it was like anywhere he could be as long as he was in the same place, in
He
the
didn't
same
want to
state.
leave the familiarity of
Yeah,
this
I
is where
mean,
I built my home with Ruth. Like
yeah,
this is where I've known her to be. I want some sense of her presence, and she's not here.
yeah.
And I need to get back to that place.
Timothy was saying, having a supportive spouse is so important. My ex-wife wasn't supportive at all. She yelled at me and was like, "You have a family to support, so you got to get up and get back at it." Now, Timothy, I understand why she might be your ex. Um, okay, I take that back. Maybe I don't, but I feel it. Like my husband has been truly supportive. He took on a lot of what I did here at home when I was, you know, just being a caregiver to my mom, and even in her passing, in her transition, he did that. And I'll say he was even supportive of my shopping when I dropped my first son off to college. He gave me the money and looked at me like I was crazy, but I bought him some items too, you know, so I feel like I was being a supportive wife as well. You know, you give me, I give you, I buy for you. But no, I truly agree with Timothy. Like, it matters to have someone that has your back. And that goes back to what we were talking about last week, community.
Yeah.
Um, you know, because there's definitely been days um, where I'm like, I don't want to be at work, or I just don't want to get out of bed. And my husband's like, well, go home. And
I cannot. Timothy, you about to get banned.
he's hilarious. People can see your comment. I won't even read it. But no, it's just two of us and our lovely bonus sister, Mila. But she's
As
our sister
in
in
law.
love and married to our big brothers. So sorry, Timothy. Can't help you. Um, But yeah, no, I definitely feel like it's okay. And you were saying like when I had mentioned of like the first episode when I went out to dinner, I feel like people don't realize how awkward it's are gonna feel. And they need to realize like it may not feel the best to start a new hobby or to go out to dinner or do, you know, travel like you were saying. We're about to go down to Westgate, and that was the last place we all went as a family. Um, and I kind of feel not that I feel bad about going to Westgate, but I also am like, oh man, I wish mom was here. Like, but I know that they purposely got Westgate for us
Yeah.
as a family.
Yeah.
So I had to just put my big girl hat on and was like, we're going to Westgate. Um,
Way to honor mom as well, you
yeah,
know, because
because
she
she
wanted
was the
so
reason we
much.
traveled.
Right. First of all, she's the one who wanted all the kids.
All the
And
kids.
then to have the vacations and making sure that even though they weren't always the best vacations, making sure
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll set that up. But anyway, I digress. But just making sure, and I'm sure that you all will, but you know, just taking that moment to honor mom.
Marcella says, what's up, Camille?
What up, Mara? What's going on? But yeah, just making sure you all honor her and that. Now, I mean, even just going is still going to be honoring her because she would want that. She would want us to continue those traditions that her and dad built for us, for our family.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, you all, I look a hot mess. I'm looking at myself in the camera. I'm sorry. I just got so off topic.
Yeah, that was good. Completely. Anyway, this has been an interesting session. So thank y'all for sticking with us.
I have an upper respiratory infection and ear infection, but I said we are coming on here. We can
Good.
already
I told her it
reschedule.
would be okay to wait, but she said she was coming. So now
We
you
are
have
here.
the
So
conversation.
you all ignore my. Uh, anyway.
But other things, even if it's like, I know for our father, he started going back to the gym, and that's kind of been his outlet and his release is going to the gym and making sure that he's staying healthy and doing what he needs to do. I've talked about
I'm gonna
making sure
need him
that
to lose some weight so he can stop telling me he ain't lost no weight.
don't be clowning my daddy. Anyway,
Did a 2-pound weight loss.
but y'all know what? It's in these new routines. You don't have to be perfect. So I don't want us to feel like, okay, I'm starting a new morning routine, or I'm starting this gym routine, or I'm starting this, and it's not going exactly the way that it's supposed to be going, or it's got to be this way. It doesn't. Just start. Just do it, right? As my brand says, just do it. Y'all have to
the Nike hat. I was like, your brand on your arm when you burned your. Okay. Anyway, Marcellus says, grieving is rough, especially when all of your immediate family has passed. Lost my mom and brother all within 1 month. Brother died Christmas 2021 and mother in January 2022. And then the pain, and he says, the pain never goes away. You learn to cope better. And Aaron says, I love the gym videos with your dad. They were really cute, weren't they, Aaron? I did love them as well. Not going to lie, I was jealous. Camille got to go to the gym and have fun. And she even got to go to Costco.
Girl, I can't with her. Okay. That is. But going back to Marcellus, yes. I think that is a good point to bring out, that pain doesn't go away, but you do learn how to cope. And that's so important on why we're even talking about these new routines and what that looks like and being intentional about it. Because I think personally that when you're intentional about creating these new routines and understanding why you're doing what you're doing, that's giving that space that we were talking about for healing. So that way you're actually healing and not just going through the motions, but not healing from that pain. And so you're just out here being that hurt person.
Yeah.
So doing this intentionally, understanding why you're doing what you're doing, honoring your loved one or honoring who you once were, or honoring whatever that transition is that you're dealing with that grief is key, so that you can fully understand what's happening, understand what triggers you, and making sure that in this life of keep going, don't quit, don't stop.
Yeah. Give yourself freedom to try things.
Say that again, Erica.
I said give yourself freedom to try things. So like, say you go to the gym today, you're like, this ain't it, then just go home.
Classes, like maybe you need to exercise, but maybe the gym isn't it. But you can do dance classes, or you can do walking, or there's different ways. Maybe it's a sport. I was watching a video of a girl. She wasn't going through grief, but she was in her, I don't know, her late 20s or something like that. And she picked up the hobby of gymnastics, right? And this is the first time that she's ever tried that. So, this might be the time to explore, because in particularly when you're a caregiver, and there's things that you have to put off and you're not able to do, and hobbies, maybe some things that you've been wanting to try but you can't because you are a caregiver. This is maybe those times where it's like, okay, well, you just take those opportunities now to do those things for you. Brittany says, I love playing Biggie during treatment. I play it while, sorry, there's a little nasty fly flying around. I play it while he dreaded going to UC once he passed away there.
That's tough. I get that. Um, I love me some Biggie. I love it when you call me Big Papa. Okay, next. And okay, I'm sorry. Who doesn't like Biggie? I mean, except if you're a Tupac fan.
Okay,
Jeez.
I can't. All right. But you know
I'm
what,
a
Warrior Bee,
Please
you know that too. Um, Going to the hospital where my mom was, like the one that she would go to frequently, we actually had to go back because her father had to have a procedure. It was weird. I didn't like it. I thought that I, first of all, wouldn't be back to the hospital for like ever. Like I would never need to come back here. It's done. And then he ends up in the hospital, and I'm like, it was odd. It was felt like I was supposed to be walking into the room with my mother, and I had to brace myself to know that she wasn't going to be in that room. That wasn't the reason why I was coming. I'm not here for her. And then she had passed what, um, September, so 2 months before. Um,
Yeah, about
and
three, two and a
then
half, three.
then walking back in there, it was tough for all of us. You know, it was just kind of like, we don't want to be here. We don't, all of the memories of everything that we've ever had to deal with in regards to the heart health and surgeries. And it was, girl, I understand. It was rough. It was tough. But even though you're dreading it, if you look at what our experience has been, the good news is you can make it through. You can get there and you can do what needs to be done, and you're gonna be able to do it. That's why we call you Warrior Beaver, because you're strong, you're mighty, and you got this. You got this. Um, Riakis is laughing at your concert, Erica.
If you like some more selections, hit me up.
No, Lord, no, we're not.
Baby, give me
We're not.
more
But
than
that's it too. That if that's comforting, I think that's good for people. You know, you playing songs and things that your loved one used to listen to or bring fond memories of them. Um,
yeah.
so yeah, all these things are important in embracing that new routine. Um, and I think that, surrounding that, especially when we feel just kind of like, again, going back to that thought, like, all right, well, this feels weird, this feels awkward. Remember, and it doesn't have to be perfect. You have to be gentle, intentional, and honest with yourself. And so this is really where faith and grace meet, right? We believe that God can use even the broken routine to birth something beautiful. And I lost my co-host. Love you too, Riakis. Um, so Erica request. I'm not sure why I always lose her. Um, let's see if we can get her back on. Erica, I'll wait for you to request. How would you say you operate now in your everyday life with your loss? Um, Now, I still just take those times to keep my mother with me and remember my mother. Give me 1 second. Let me see if we can add Erica back on here. Um, couldn't add guests. The person was unable to join. Try one more time, Erica. Um, well, the good news is we're almost done. So maybe there is a time limit on how long. How long have we been on here? So for instance, Riakis, I wear this pin of my mother and just kind of, yeah, I'm saying try again because I tried to add you and it said that you were unable to. So I wear this pin of my mother. This is actually her high school, a painting from her high school, her senior year high school picture. So I wear that a lot of times. If not, I keep it on my dresser. I also wear this necklace, which this is an urn necklace, and so I wear this, and there are several of us who got these urn necklaces. So I carry her with me every time I put this necklace on. Um, and I think for me, it's just kind of, I'm not afraid to talk about her and talk about her to others or to remember different things that she said. So I think life now is just making sure that I keep her with with me. I don't try to suppress and act like my mother didn't exist to try and like bury down the emotion. I make sure that, even in doing this podcast, we have to think about it or creating this framework that we're going through. Um, I'm trying to do things that not only is going to help me, it's going to help other people. It's going to keep my mother's memory alive. And I think that's kind of how I go through it, my intention. Now, let me tell you though, grief can be a mother. Y'all can feel it whatever y'all want. I don't cuss, so it's just a mother to me. um, there are those moments that it just completely catches me off guard where I bust out in tears and I'm sobbing, or, maybe just that one tear drips down the face, or it's like, I think almost every day I find myself saying, Mom, oh my gosh, I miss you so much. Like, Mom, I miss you so much, so much. And so I talk to myself. I talk myself through it sometimes. Therefore, I think it's working. And that's how I kind of deal with my everyday life. Hopefully, oh, there we go. Hopefully that answers. Yes, agrees. To the Facebook, add it, love it. How would you say? I quit. I have an urn necklace as well. I have my brother's ashes in it. I love my mother. Have my mother's. I love that. I love it. Yeah. So just now that you're back, how would you?
Am I back?
You're back.
Because I can't see myself.
How would you answer the question? I'll let you speak on that for a second. How would you say you operate now in your everyday life with your loss?
If I'm being honest, I don't know. I literally, sometimes I question how I continue to carry myself, honestly, because I feel like there are these moments.
I'll be right back. Get my drink. Keep going.
Okay. I don't know. Is my honest opinion. I really don't have a way that I carry myself. Every day is different for me. One day I'm great. I am checking on my mom. I have a picture of my mom on my phone. I have 7 different pictures, like on my lock screen and etc. And I talk to her. But I find that there are days where I carry myself where you would have no clue that I'd lost anybody. And then there are these days where people are like, honey, she did just walk away, Timothy. You saw that. I can't see her anymore, but it's okay. She played me. She done booted me off the thing, and now she done walked away from the drink.
That my sister got me.
Oh, well, I can't see it, but I'm sure it's cute.
And I went and got my bear that my sister made on behalf of my parents.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know which hand is hers. Hold on.
Love you, and so glad to have you as my daughter, as one of my daughters, and you take care and be good, all right? Bye.
That was so sweet.
It was, wasn't it? So that almost made me cry. So that's how our days go. The end. Now I'm going to put my bear in the seat. Well, actually, I'll hold it.
I'm glad you can't see me.
We can just hear the voice, but nobody else is. You know what? I'm so mad at Facebook because they changed it where you can't have like third-party apps going live in the groups anymore. You can only do that on your personal page or on a page, not in a group. So, yeah, eventually at some point we're going to figure something else out. But yeah, so.
He said, you ain't got your tequila.
Like, this conversation is rough. My sister doing all types of stuff. No, but I did go get my cup and my drink. This is really some energy drink. Cause listen, y'all, I ain't know if I was gonna make it through this tonight, but
here we are. Let me tell you, we probably should redo this segment again when I'm not sick. And we both are on the
Listen,
screen.
because the other thing is I've been trying to make so many different points, and then you'll be like, and there's this comment.
Guys, this has been a rough one. We apologize. I don't think we're
What I
going to
was
put this
saying
one up.
earlier, so we can close this thing out, is that in our imperfections, that is where grace meets faith. And, we believe that God can use those broken routines to turn it into something beautiful. And I know, Warrior B, you started a a book bag drive. Um, and just to say that even though I know that it didn't always go perfectly as you wanted to when you executed that, that is something beautiful that you have started. And I lost my co-host again. So we're gonna keep on moving. But and I love and I applaud the work that you have done. So I'm not sure if you're still there, Warrior B, but I can appreciate that, and I love that you keep going every year to make it bigger, to make it better, to make it more of what you want it to be. I know you gave out several book bags this year, and you partnered with the church. So yeah, I love that you have given yourself freedom to try. And so for everybody, give yourself freedom to try. Erica, we might, okay, good. It says that it's adding you. And if it doesn't work, tomorrow is a fresh start, right? And if it's like, okay, my plan is to go up and go to the gym, and if you don't make it, guess what? Give yourself grace and try and do it the next. You say, okay, well, I'm going to start this business. Okay, it may not go great the first year, but keep going. Keep pushing into the second year. Whatever those things are, whatever those new routines are that you're starting to help you during that time of grief and that time of transition, do it. Isaiah 43:19 says she is back.
I like
Behold,
Timothy.
I am doing a new thing. Do you not perceive it? Your new routine might just be where God is doing his next miracle. And so even though sometimes it's hard and we don't understand why things are happening, how they're happening, why did our loved one have to go? Why did this have to happen to me? Why am I grieving this past part of my life? You never know how those transitions are actually stepping stones into the next phase that God has for you. So just want to challenge you all to create a new routine. Those areas where you're just really struggling, maybe you need to be doing better in a different area, just focus and identify whether it's something simple or whether it's something super meaningful. Create a new routine. You can work through it, you
Yeah.
can get through it. Um, Erica, anything that you wanted to add to that?
No, I was just saying, I don't know if any of you all have actually been doing the journal prompts that we've been suggesting, or writing yourself a note, however you do it. But here's one that you all could do. Just think of one small routine that you can create that brings you peace or reminds you of who you're becoming, because you change for sure. I have started a couple books, and the lady was like, I changed in who I am. The moment you left, she was referring to her mom, I changed. I'm no longer the person I used to be, and I would agree. I'm changing. Some would say for the better, some would not agree, but just, I challenge you to, if you haven't done the journal or even wrote a note in your phone, I would do that. Just kind of create one small routine, whether it's taking a nap. I do that frequently. That was before my mom passed anyway, but one small routine, like we say, wake up, read your word, wake up, play an inspirational song or whatever, but journal about it or just jot something down that you can try, necessarily to create an outlet for you to create something new, um, and go from there. So, and remember, give yourself grace because this is hard.
Grieving with grace. So thanks for spending this time with us, y'all. It has come to a close already. So remember, embracing new routines isn't about replacing the past. It's about building a present that honors your feelings and honors your healing. So we will be back next week.
We'll be healthy and whole.
As I was saying, on Sunday. And hopefully we will we'll set a time, and yes, hopefully we will be healthy and whole and energized. So next week we're going to be talking about the F of the grief framework, finding meaning in the midst of pain. So that's going to be the topic next week. So thank you guys so much for joining us. We love